My sister stands out as the sole pure white Jasmine in the realm of entertainment. To preserve her innocence and integrity, I didn't hesitate to protect her when a director and a movie star attempted to lure her into a room. Ultimately, they subjected me to relentless torment until I perished. However, my sister simply turned around, accepted their so-called compensation and goodwill, and seized all the opportunities to become a beloved movie queen with countless admirers. It was only after my death that I realized I had merely been a pawn in this high-stakes drama, with my sister leveraging my downfall to ascend as the main character. When I regained consciousness, I found myself back on the day my sister insisted on auditioning for a film. This time, when the director and the star subtly hinted at their true intentions, and my sister, tears streaming down her face, pleaded for my assistance, I made a different choice. As they forcefully dragged me into the room, I heard a loud bang as my sister was locked outside. An overwhelming wave of pain crashed over me like a blizzard, initiating a ceaseless torture that left me unable to scream as my vision blurred. Amidst the electric shocks, I saw fleeting images of my sister's composed and dignified demeanor. I was all too familiar with the underhanded dealings within the entertainment industry. My sister Sophia was perceived as the purest white Jasmine, and any scandal involving men would ruin her career. So I took the fall when the director and the star threatened her. As I endured agony, tears streamed uncontrollably, but a relieved smile formed on my face. Good. Now they'll have to let her go. Barely a week after my death, my spirit remained close to Sophia. What unfolded next left me profoundly shocked. The director and the movie star never anticipated my demise. They coerced Sophia into silence and discreetly disposed of my body. She complied tearfully, never seeking justice for me. Why? They had promised her top-tier resources, scenes alongside the movie star, and a promotion to a leading actress role. From that moment on, the sister I once saw as driven and hardworking abandoned her self-reliance entirely. It devastated me. What was the point of sacrificing myself for her? Perhaps my bond with her was too strong. My spirit stayed by her side, witnessing her rise to international fame with those resources and millions of cheering fans. Later, a reporter discovered she had a sister and publicly questioned her about it. Without hesitation, she coldly responded, "I'm sorry, I'm an only child." At that moment, my heart broke and I wept in despair. Unable to move on, I remained in limbo until the Lord of Hell, tired of watching, handed me a book. It revealed that I was merely a disposable supporting character in this strong female-led story, with Sophia advancing by stepping over my sacrifices. How ironic. I had used my life to protect someone who wouldn't even acknowledge me, while she achieved her dreams through my blood and tears, living in luxury. How could I not feel hatred? How could I find peace? In my final moments before losing consciousness, I vowed never to let this happen again. If given another chance, I'd make them pay for everything they owed me. I jolted awake from the nightmare, the sensation of my soul vanishing and the lingering bone-deep pain still haunted me. But, upon opening my eyes, I realized I wasn't dead. Instead, I was back on the day Sophia insisted on going to the film set for an audition. At that moment, Sophia approached me, holding her phone with a pouty expression. "Emily, the director and the lead actor want me to attend an interview at a villa. It feels suspicious, though." I quietly observed her, this seemingly pure and innocent little flower. If it weren't for reincarnation, I might have believed her again. "Emily, why aren't you saying anything?" "Sorry, what did you say?" I forced a smile, suppressing the bitterness inside. Sophia's face showed worry. "Emily, what should I do? They said if I don't go, they'll blacklist me in the industry." In my past life, I had prevented her from attending, knowing no one auditions in private. It's a trap. But when I did, she blamed me for not supporting her dreams. This time, I chose differently. She could follow her own path. "I don't know, I'm not in the industry. I have no idea what's really happening." Sophia looked at me confused. "Emily, I'm scared they might bully me. Can you come with me?" That's what she always said. In my previous life, I was a frantic protector, always agreeing. But not this time. I have things to do. I'm busy preparing for an exam. My grades are strong, and with some preparation, I can secure a position. Growing up, our family favored boys, abandoning both me and Sophia after our birth. We never knew our mother. The villagers said she was expelled for not having a son. In school, I excelled academically while Sophia always dreamed of becoming an actress, even wanting to drop out for auditions. Each time I pulled her back, helped her study, and got her into college. Although she was the elder, I always took on the role of the protective older sibling. Whenever our drunk, abusive father lashed out, I shielded her. In the end, I was seen as the biggest joke. Now, reborn, I focused not on Sophia, but on building my own future. Sophia was stunned and asked, "When did you decide to take the civil service exam? If you pass, what about me? Didn't you promise to be my assistant?" She reminded me of things I had almost forgotten. In my previous life, I had pledged to be her assistant and care for her forever. Just as I was about to take the test, I thought, aren't you about to become the best actress? By then, you could hire 10 assistants without any problem. Sophia was about to respond, but I had already lowered my head to read. Soon she left my room. As I pondered what would happen next, I clenched my teeth in hatred. Memories from my past life replayed endlessly in my mind. I threw myself into studying even harder, eager to absorb all the knowledge. In this life, I was determined to carve my own path and seek revenge for the tragic end I had faced before. After finishing my review, I checked my phone's location. Sophia had indeed gone to see the director and the leading actor. Even though she was my biological sister, I didn't want her to repeat her past mistakes, no matter how much I desired revenge. So, I used a voice changer to anonymously tip off the paparazzi. "I have some big news. Brandon is meeting a beauty at North Wing West Hill. Brandon, the leading actor, is a major star. Many paparazzi are eager for any juicy gossip about him." The tabloid dismissed me as crazy, leaving me speechless. How foolish to miss such an opportunity. I turned around and contacted the director's wife. With the secrets I had learned in my past life, following Sophia, I easily convinced her that her husband was meeting a beauty at North Wing West Hill. She cursed loudly, seemingly for the first time, and hung up in a hurry. What I didn't anticipate was the intensity of the director's wife. Not only did she confront him, but she also summoned professional paparazzi. Suddenly, the paparazzi initiated a live stream. Netizens flocked to the broadcast, eager to witness the scoop firsthand. I watched the live stream as the viewer count soared to over 1 million. The show is about to start. I curled my lips into a smile. Then, as the live camera switched, I saw one of my arch enemies. Director Robert. He was the one who had delivered that final blow. The memory was seared into my mind. I would never forget. Suddenly, a sharp, bitter woman's voice erupted. Robert's wife was furiously shouting, "Dare to bring women home? You've got some nerve. I'm gonna kill you, you no-good cheat." Initially, the live feed's comment section thought it was just a notorious director having a personal dispute at home, but no one saw what was coming next. Shortly after, top star Brandon appeared on screen. Shirtless, as he hadn't had time to put it back on. Viewers exploded with speculation about the leading lady's identity. In the next moment, the camera turned again, causing the entire internet to shake. I was completely stunned. The leading lady wasn't Sophia. It was her agent, Luna. Ridiculous. How could it be her? In my previous life, Sophia and Luna were as close as sisters. It was definitely Sophia in the past. So how did it suddenly become Luna? Where did things go wrong? I slumped back into my chair, memories of Sophia and Luna together swirling in my mind. Luna wasn't just Sophia's agent, she was her best friend. I didn't dare act impulsively. Something felt different from my past life. Thankfully, the overall outcome remained unchanged. The internet erupted into a frenzy, turning the situation into a hot topic. Brandon and the famous director meeting a renowned beauty agent, Brandon's scandal, director Robert's public humiliation, and Luna taking the fall in Sophia's place. Strangely, Sophia wasn't implicated. She somehow shook off all suspicion and even secured the lead role in the film. Even though I knew Sophia's true nature, I felt a slight sense of relief seeing she didn't end up as disastrously as in my past life. Perhaps it was because our blood bond remained. When Sophia returned home, I heard her shouting my name, creating chaos. But inside, I felt nothing, only a focus on studying. Sophia wasn't her usual icy self. When she saw me, tears welled in her eyes and a smile graced her beautiful face. She rushed over, crying and laughing simultaneously. I was confused and instinctively frowned, but Sophia ignored my reaction and embraced me tightly. She leaned on my shoulder, and soon I felt warm, wet sensations on my neck, like tears rolling down. She was crying, repeatedly calling my name. "Emily, it feels so good. I finally did it." I stood there stiffly, raised my hand halfway, then decided not to comfort her. During my years as a wandering soul, I had lost touch with familial affection. My heart felt dead, merely a shell remaining. I sighed and stepped back slightly. Sophia wiped her tears, forcing a smile onto her face. "Why are you crying? Aren't you happy I got the lead role?" Sophia shook her head, her eyes unusually bright. "I'm so happy that I just had to hug you and cry." In the past, hearing she nailed an audition would have excited me. But now, having seen through everything, I was no longer the naive person I once was. No wonder she was so happy she secured the role. Seeing my cold, unenthusiastic demeanor, Sophia's expression stiffened, a strange look crossing her face. She stared at me intently. "Emily, aren't you happy for me? You're so strange today." Her voice trailed off as I turned to face her deeply scrutinizing eyes. My heart jolted, and I quickly turned back to sit at the dining table. Images from my past life, of her with Robert, kept cycling through my mind. Back then, she did whatever it took for resources. Was she planning the same path now? I forced a stiff smile. "Happy? Of course I'm happy. Isn't this what you've always wanted? I'm sure you'll be a movie queen in no time, just like in our past life, stepping over my dead body to become the movie queen you desired." The more I tried to distance myself, the closer Sophia came. That night, she suddenly appeared in my room with a blanket. Putting down my book, I asked, confused, "What are you doing?" Sophia ignored my question and made herself comfortable on my bed. She even asked me to move aside, taking up half the bed and sprawling across. "Emily, I want to sleep with you tonight." Sophia had always disliked close physical contact with others, including me, her sister. But this time, she was completely different, taking the initiative to sleep on my bed. Things were increasingly off-kilter, and I couldn't help but ask, "Don't you hate being close to others?" Sophia turned her back, so I could only see her silhouette, but I heard her softly respond, "But you're not just anyone. If I recall correctly, we started sleeping separately when we began staying in dorms from middle school. I used to cling to my sister, asking her to share her bed. Sophia always found it annoying, but eventually gave in. Now her voluntary closeness made me suspicious of her intentions. "Emily, do you remember when we were little and shared a bed? In the summer, we'd make a bed on the courtyard floor. You wouldn't sleep at night, keeping mosquitoes away from me. I loved sweets and got bitten by mosquitoes all over, and you'd rub mint leaves on me. I felt irritated being reminded of how kind I was to you back then. In my past life, when you didn't save me and claimed to be an only child, did you ever think of my kindness?" Anger surged within me, and I couldn't help but cut her off. "Sophia, are you sleeping or not? It's late and you've talked enough." The room fell silent, the night outside even darker. On the first night after my rebirth, sleep eluded me. Memories of being forcibly dragged into a room and tortured in my past life haunted my mind. Although the physical scars were gone, the pain felt as real and sharp as before. I trembled with deep-seated hatred, teeth clenched, shivering all over. I hated their cruel torture and Sophia's betrayal. Suddenly, Sophia turned and hugged me, warmth spreading through me instantly. Snapping back to reality, I turned my head to see her lying on my pillow, staring at me with sparkling eyes. With a serious expression, she said, "Emily, don't be unhappy. When I make money, I'll take care of you. I'll work hard so you won't have to endure the hardships of the past." I turned away coldly, pushing her off. Her words didn't affect me at all. It was all fake. I remembered everything and refused to forget. Later, she truly did what she promised, earned a lot, and gained her status. But I was no longer part of her life. She ruthlessly discarded me, insisting I was her only child. Sophia never used to talk about such things. She found them silly, always saying, "Why dwell on the past? Gotta look ahead." But now she kept bringing up old memories. I couldn't help but wonder if my rebirth had truly altered the story. In the following days, I continued preparing for exams. While whatever Sophia did was none of my concern, everything seemed calm until the day Sophia was informed about the film's shooting schedule. She rushed over, insisting I accompany her to the set. I looked up in shock, staring at Sophia with surprise. But she wasn't joking. She blinked seriously. "Emily, just come with me. You can look out for me if something happens, right? Haven't you always doted on your sister the most?" I couldn't help but let out a self-deprecating laugh. So that's what she'd been up to these days. Silly me for thinking she might have changed. Not like in the past life where she always used me as a shield. Old habits die hard. In the end, she still hoped I'd sacrifice for her without question. I used studying as an excuse and outright refused her. But Sophia kept pestering me, determined to convince me. Then, I thought about it, and my thirst for revenge began to brew again. If I joined the crew, I could gather dirt on Brandon and Robert, slowly collect evidence, and strike precisely when the time was right. With everyone watching on set, there was nothing they could do to me. Plus, I had already prepared many things for them in advance. So, I ended up agreeing. Sophia seemed genuinely happy and began packing in an unusual manner. Not only did she not ask for help, but she also folded my clothes and even brought along the books I wanted to read. I watched her actions closely, unable to hide my frown. Something strange was definitely happening. What was she up to? When we arrived at the set, Sophia and I sat together at the filming site. She read her script while I read a book. Suddenly, I felt someone's eyes burning into me. Instinctively, I looked up and locked eyes with Brandon. The way he looked at me was extremely creepy, as if he was sizing me up like prey. I couldn't help but crumple the page of my book in my grip, suppressing the nausea. I bowed my head, pretending not to notice, and waited for the right moment. Soon enough, Sophia went to rehearse a scene with a supporting character, leaving me alone. That's when a woman approached me. I recognized her. It was Brandon's assistant. "Miss Sophia, your sister told me to let you know she needs you to get her costume from the dressing room. She needs it urgently." "The dressing room, huh? Perfect. Brandon chose a good spot for this." My eyes gleamed, and I couldn't help but smirk slightly before hiding it. Then, acting like a naive college girl, I quietly followed the assistant while discreetly starting a voice recording on my phone. Just as I had suspected, as soon as I entered the dressing room, Brandon was there and instructed the assistant to guard the door. When she was out, it was just Brandon and me in the room. "Mr. Brandon, I'm just here to grab my sister's costume," I said casually. Brandon suddenly walked toward me, and I was immediately hit by a familiar, sickly perfume scent. It was exactly like the one I had smelled the night I died, a stench that made me nauseous. Brandon looked at me, raising an eyebrow with an unsettling smirk. "You're Emily, right? I heard you and your sister don't get along so well. It's like you're enemies. Why don't you stay with me? I'll make sure you're set for life." As he spoke, he reached out to pull me close. I hardened my expression, dodging his advance. Watching his handsome face morph into something monstrous, even his breath was repulsive. "Emily, don't be scared. I just think you're just as attractive as your sister with a great body. You two look so similar. How about becoming her double? I can't have her, but having you would be just fine." I ground my teeth in resentment, my eyes burning with fury. Before I could respond, Brandon, deluded into thinking my silence was agreement, leaned in for a kiss. I glanced over my shoulder, retreating to dodge his approach, and slipped out of the camera's view near the entrance. Brandon advanced once more, his smile contorted into something sinister. I responded with a chilling laugh. He foolishly believed his target was within his grasp, unaware that I was ready for him. Seizing the opportunity, I pulled a compact taser from my pocket and delivered a strong shock. Sparks erupted around us as Brandon's expression twisted in pain. His muscles spasmed uncontrollably, his eyes widened, and his entire body became rigid. He appeared to be struggling for breath, gasping heavily. With a forceful push, I sent him sprawling to the ground. Leaning over him, I acted swiftly. Brandon hadn't even realized the taser was in play and was now completely incapacitated. To make sure he truly felt the impact, I had already set the taser to its highest setting. This was no ordinary taser. It was a modified version, 10 times more powerful. I then delivered a kick to his stomach, watching him wince in agony as sweat dripped from his forehead. Yet my anger remained unquenched. I mocked him, Brandon. How does it feel to be tased? Not great, huh? I endured this for 3 long hours back then, each second 1,000 times more excruciating than what you're feeling. Still not satisfied, is it? Seeing you unable to rise isn't enough. You should never stand again, forced to live as a cripple. After all, isn't living worse than dying, more bitter? I extended the taser, now transformed into a pair of electric nunchucks, crackling with energy. Brandon recoiled in terror, trembling and backing away, but I continued to close the distance, leaving him no escape. Just as I was about to strike with the nunchucks, hurried footsteps echoed along with calls for Emily. Sophia was approaching. I glanced at Brandon, who was desperately trying to get up, dusting himself off and straightening his clothes. What a farce. He still cared about his appearance. Perhaps it was better to wait and seek revenge later. I quietly stashed the electric baton back into my sleeve. At that moment, Sophia entered and caught Brandon adjusting his attire. Instantly, her demeanor darkened, and a fierce hatred flashed in her eyes. Before Brandon could utter a word, Sophia delivered a hard slap across his face. I raised an eyebrow in surprise. This wasn't how she behaved in our previous lives. Sophia positioned herself in front of me, her voice cold and sharp as she glared at Brandon. Brandon, if you even think about laying a hand on her, I will destroy you completely. Want to test me? I watched Sophia struggling to understand. My body began to warm up, dissipating the earlier rage. Shock and confusion overwhelmed me as I felt a pang in my heart. Was I doubting, or was it genuine shock? Sophia's protective stance stirred a mix of emotions within me. Before I could respond, she grabbed my hand. Her warm grip was comforting, reminiscent of childhood, but only for a fleeting moment. I couldn't ignore what Sophia had done in our past lives. Why was she shielding me now? I followed her off the set, my mind racing with thoughts of her defense. Sophia seemed different, more compassionate, but why the sudden rush to protect me? Holding our joined hands, I fought back tears and bit my lip. Suddenly, she released her grip, turned, and glared at me. Emily. Sophia's face was etched with anger. Do you have any sense? Didn't all those years of school teach you anything? Do you even know why he reached out to you? Do you know how worried I was when you vanished after the shoot? Her words echoed memories from our past lives when I had scolded her. Now, she resembled a sister. Although I no longer interfered in Sophia's affairs, I couldn't let Brandon and Robert escape their actions either. I sent Sophia a recording, which finally appeased her, acknowledging that I wasn't entirely foolish. In the following days, Sophia focused on filming and kept me home, fearing that Brandon might target me. She maintained a routine between home and work. That evening, shortly after she returned home, her assistant called. She put the call on speaker, and I heard the assistant urgently requesting her presence at the hotel for an important discussion with the film crew. Sophia quickly changed her clothes and left in a hurry. The room fell silent. After absorbing new information and exiting, I noticed it was already dark outside. How could a meeting last for hours? Suddenly, I recalled Robert's reputation for being strict about script meetings. Why would he schedule one so late after filming had commenced? We had been on set for quite some time. Was Sophia unaware? Maybe she was heading there intentionally, reminiscent of our past lives. Remembering how interfering had landed me in trouble before, I took a deep breath and calmed myself. Then, my eyes landed on a bowl of strawberries on the table, causing me to hesitate. I recalled when I was 7, returning home from school with Sophia. We had passed a strawberry field and, unable to resist, I picked 2 strawberries. The field was monitored by cameras, and we were caught. The owner contacted my father, who was known to be harsh, leaving me terrified and in tears. Unexpectedly, Sophia took the blame. Enduring severe beatings herself, she lay bruised and pale on the bed, fearing for her life, while I was left crying in fear. Instead of blaming me, Sophia comforted me as if it didn't matter. As these memories resurfaced, I hesitated. That was the only time she had truly helped me. Eventually, I couldn't resist reaching for my phone to text Sophia and warn her of the impending danger, but as I unlocked it, a new entertainment news notification appeared. Sophia and Brandon were the center of attention. My heart raced as I opened the video. A throng of media personnel crowded the hotel room, snapping photos of Sophia and Brandon. The camera caught Brandon looking panicked as he hid behind Sophia. Then, as if he had an idea, Brandon faced the camera again. "It's her," Brandon accused. "She seduced me. She lured me to the hotel. Sophia, you act so innocent, but I see right through you. You'd do anything for fame." It was clear he was framing Sophia. Just like in our past lives, he was portraying Sophia as manipulative, aiming to ruin her reputation instantly. If she couldn't counter his claims, her standing in the entertainment industry would be destroyed. And even in everyday life, she'd be seen as deceitful. However, Sophia remained composed, addressing everyone calmly. She directed them to check her Facebook, where she had shared chat records between Brandon and the director from that day in West Hills North, where he had threatened her on Instagram. Additionally, she presented surveillance footage from the hotel corridor, clearly showing Brandon making the first move. To further solidify her case, Sophia uploaded an audio recording she had secretly made in the dressing room that day. "The truth is out," she declared with a confident smirk. "So, Mr. Best Actor, what exactly did I wrongfully accuse you of?" With 3 solid pieces of evidence, Brandon was left speechless, teetering on the edge of disgrace. I felt a surge of satisfaction, believing it was all over. But then the police arrived swiftly, arresting Brandon for allegedly coercing women. Unwilling to accept his fate, Brandon glared fiercely at Sophia, but she simply smiled and admitted, "You guessed it, Brandon. I was the one who called the cops." That was the end of his story. Sophia had decisively exposed him in front of the media, gaining millions of followers and widespread acclaim for her strength and independence. With Robert colluding with Brandon, he could no longer retaliate against us. Under investor pressure, the lead role in the drama was recast. Everything unfolded rapidly, and it took me a moment to regain my composure and process my thoughts. If Luna's appearance at the villa was mere chance, then Brandon's sudden downfall wasn't either. It was clear Sophia had undergone a complete transformation, almost as if someone else had taken over her body, or perhaps she had been reborn herself. I covered my mouth in disbelief. Even if she had been reborn to make amends in this life, it felt futile. Her actions and words from our past life haunted me. I couldn't forgive her. I swallowed my questions, choosing not to confront her. In the ensuing days, Sophia thrived in the entertainment world. Through my relentless efforts, I finally secured my future, adding another layer of protection to my quest for revenge. When the results were announced, Sophia took me to a restaurant to celebrate, and for the first time in a while, I didn't decline her invitation. She had been busy, and I had been consumed with exams, so we hadn't shared a meal in ages. At the restaurant, Sophia was visibly elated. Initially, she hadn't supported me in taking the civil service exam, but now she beamed with pride. "Emily, congratulations on getting in. I'm genuinely happy for you. You're on a bright path. You won't end up stuck in the entertainment industry like I did. Thank goodness I didn't drag you down this time." Sophia was so joyful that tears welled up and streamed down her face. It seemed as though all her pent-up emotions had finally been released. I looked at her, puzzled. In our past lives when I died, she didn't appear this devastated. Now it seemed she was finally letting go of everything she had been holding inside. I couldn't help but wonder if she'd been through a lot too. I suppressed my bitterness, quietly sipping my drink. In the past, I would have cried alongside her, but now, I didn't even feel the need to reach for a tissue. After a few drinks, Sophia became noticeably tipsy, her eyes dreamy. She murmured softly, "Emily, I finally met you again. This time, let me protect you, okay?" I flinched, my fingers twitching in surprise, shock, and disbelief. Since being reborn, I hadn't felt this unsettled, but her words left me stunned. It turned out Sophia had truly been reborn as well, meaning everything she had done recently was intentional. I remained silent, losing my appetite as Sophia clung to me, crying incessantly. "Emily, I missed you so much. Every night I wake up from dreams of you crying, questioning why I didn't seek revenge, why I gave up on you." Her words pierced me deeply. I looked into her tear-filled eyes, emotions swirling uncontrollably, as if pain was seeping into my very being. She cried even harder, and I sighed, guiding her toward the door. Just as we reached the hallway, we encountered Robert and his unsavory friends. Seeing Sophia drunkenly leaning on me, Robert's eyes lit up. "Emily, looks like your sister's wasted. I'll give you two a ride home." I immediately recognized his malicious intent and outright refused, attempting to move past him with Sophia. However, his friends blocked our path. One of them sneered, "Don't you know how lucky your sister is to catch Robert's eye? Why don't you take some of that luck for yourself?" I tried to push them aside, but Robert grabbed my wrist, his fingers digging into me like claws. He yanked us toward a private room. Fortunately, I had prepared a few tricks for dealing with Robert and Brandon since my rebirth. Taking advantage of a distraction, I twisted my fingers, detaching the ring blade from my index finger. In an instant, the sharp blade sliced through Robert, who howled in pain, his skin turning pale as blood pooled and continued to flow from his palm. This attack was precise, causing his blood to spill and his bones to be exposed. Using force this time, he would need to rush to the hospital to manage the bleeding. Calmly, I concealed the blade, suppressing a grin. "You bitch! What did you do to me?" Robert roared, swinging his other hand to slap me. I instinctively dodged. Suddenly, his arm was seized by Sophia. Even in her drunken state, she fiercely bit down on Robert's arm. He was in so much pain that sweat dripped from his forehead as he let out a deep growl. However, handling an adult man wasn't simple. He cursed and struggled to free himself, attempting to strike me again. But Sophia stood her ground, protecting me with intense anger burning in her eyes. The strong scent of alcohol emanated from her, making my eyes sting. Then, out of nowhere, she delivered a swift kick to Robert's groin. He couldn't dodge it and cried out, collapsing onto the floor in pain. Fortuitously, he ended up on his hands and knees as Sophia couldn't hold back and vomited right in his face. Robert, disgusted, bent over with his legs squeezed together, rushing to the bathroom. "Sophia, you'll pay for this," he muttered. Watching Robert's pitiful retreat, I almost laughed, yet the resentment from my past life still lingered within me. This kind of humiliation paled in comparison to what I'd previously endured. Scoundrels like him deserve disgrace and justice. A stirring inside me made me reach for the taser in my pocket, yearning to do more. But Sophia suddenly regained her composure, pulling me out of the restaurant. Once home, I grew concerned for Sophia. She had just assaulted Robert in a drunken rage, and he would undoubtedly seek retribution. However, Sophia sat before me, firm and serious. "Don't worry, justice might arrive late, but trust your sister. One day it'll come right on time." My heart skipped a beat. What did Sophia mean by that? Was she implying she would punish Robert as Brandon had faced his consequences? Or was she suggesting that after my soul wandered in my past life, she would ultimately achieve justice? I didn't ask her these questions, swallowing my doubts. That night, I tossed and turned, my dreams a chaotic mix of intense plots. This was an unprecedented drama, leaving no time to breathe. The next morning, I saw it trending on Twitter. Sure enough, Robert retaliated by getting a tabloid to release surveillance footage of Sophia's wild behavior in the restaurant the previous night. The part where he started harassing us and blocking our way wasn't included. Watching that segment made Robert appear as the victim. He shamelessly shared a medical report and then took to Facebook, claiming Sophia had mental issues and was unfit for show business. As a prominent director, Robert's lead in blacklisting affected several notable actors and directors who reposted his statement. Although Sophia had recently gained some popularity, she was still a C-list celebrity. Industry veterans, with their higher credibility, overshadowed her. Moreover, since Robert possessed the original video evidence, and we didn't, Sophia couldn't adequately explain the situation, making her a target for online hate. Just then, there were knocks on the door. Before I could rise, I heard our manager Luna outside. Sophia hurried to apologize to Robert. "He likes you. That's why he was trying to be nice. Don't you get it?" I watched Sophia silently make coffee while Luna grew increasingly angry, her tone turning hostile. "Are you ignoring me now, Sophia? Just because you starred in one film, you think you're something special? You won't amount to much." Sophia placed the coffee before Luna. "Want some? And no, I never planned on becoming anything big. Apologize? That's never happening." She emphasized her refusal firmly. "Not in this lifetime." Luna stormed out in a rage, yelling, "You really think you're a big deal, huh? Acting all innocent? Fine, no apology then. The company has no use for you. I'm ending your contract. I was stunned. This was Sophia's passion. How could she watch her budding career unravel like this? Yet, she accepted it. After Luna left, I stepped out of my room, ready to comfort her, but Sophia smiled and comforted me instead. It's okay. I've already lived the dream. Now I see being an actress isn't all it's cracked up to be. Perfect. No, plain is fine. From now on, as long as we sisters are healthy and happy, that's enough. She approached me, her eyes watery as she hugged me. Emily, in this life, I've decided not to marry or have kids. I just want us to rely on each other. I looked down, tears silently falling. Most of my old resentments had faded, except when she mentioned being an only child in previous interviews. That had hurt deeply. But even if I wasn't backing Sophia, I would never allow the one who killed me in a past life to escape justice. Next, I meticulously examined all of Robert's creations, identifying recurring themes and compiling a comprehensive list. What I uncovered was startling. His works consistently portrayed women as diminished and oppressed, reducing them to mere childbearers, while idolizing male successors and implying that girls deserved to be drowned. Moreover, women were frequently shown being subjugated by men, emphasizing male supremacy. The overarching narrative was one of degrading and mistreating women. Robert infused his distorted perspectives into his narratives, forcing them upon the audience and influencing their beliefs. After thoroughly reviewing his work, I stayed awake all night to draft a 10,000-word analysis publicly condemning Robert for his portrayal of female characters. The essay was incisive and sharply critiqued Robert's detrimental influence on society as a director. It quickly gained traction online, spreading rapidly as people rallied behind me. Within days, someone unearthed my personal information, including my exam scores from an official website, and shared them on Facebook. People examined previous candidates' scores and realized I had shattered the overall record on my first attempt, leaving the second-place candidate far behind. It was then revealed that I was Sophia's twin sister, and the news went viral. The intense attention from my anonymous report had significant repercussions, prompting authorities to launch an investigation into Robert. Public sentiment shifted once more as viewers began speculating about the true events in that video. Questions arose. Why did Sophia react so violently towards Robert? Why did she target him specifically? Was there footage that was missing or edited? The truth remained unclear. As the online narrative began to change, I accompanied Sophia, disguised, to the hospital for a psychological evaluation. The results were posted on Facebook, proving that Sophia had no mental health issues. As we left the hospital, we unexpectedly encountered Robert's wife, Nancy. She greeted us warmly, saying, "I finally found you both. Can I buy you a cup of coffee?" I observed Nancy cautiously, aware that as Robert's spouse, there might be a conspiracy between them. Nancy awkwardly laughed at my guarded demeanor and quickly added, "All right, I'll be brief." She revealed that she and Robert were divorced with no children or remaining ties. Nancy confessed that she had long wanted to leave Robert due to his erratic behavior, but lacked the courage until seeing us stand up against him online inspired her. At the cafe, Nancy disclosed everything. While Robert was producing a horror thriller, he had actually killed someone for genuine dramatic effect, even paying the victim's family to keep it secret. This film catapulted his career, and over the years, Nancy had been collecting incriminating evidence against him, including recordings from the victim's family. We handed this evidence over to the police, leaving Robert with nowhere to escape. Robert's arrest made headlines immediately. After his incarceration, the restaurant owner released the unedited footage from that night. Sophia emerged as a symbol of resistance against oppression, no longer viewed as a naive actress, but as a strong, independent lead. She began receiving numerous audition offers for international films, opportunities she had never previously encountered. That night, I dreamed I was back in the dark room from my previous life. In the dream, I watched as Robert and Brandon were the ones suffering, beaten, and pleading for mercy at the doorway. Following their gaze, I saw Sophia from the past, directing bodyguards to inflict pain far worse than what I had endured before my death. I was stunned, my mind reeling. Was her first act of success in the past life to avenge me? The dream ended abruptly, and upon waking, I hurried to Sophia's room, heart pounding, ready to confront her. Instead, I found her deep in a serious phone conversation. Swallowing my questions, I asked, "Sis, is something wrong?" Sophia paused, glancing at me with complex emotions. She softly replied, "Emily, someone's asking for my help. She reminds me of myself when I was trapped and blacklisted. Many girls in this glamorous yet ruthless industry need assistance." I nodded, seeing fear and concern in her eyes. "Yeah, but don't be afraid," I reassured her. Sophia shook her head, her dark hair partially obscuring her face as she gave a bitter smile. "I'm not scared, but if I help, I'll make enemies. I'm not worried about my career, but I fear you might get hurt again." My heart swelled with warmth as I met her worried gaze, gripping her hand firmly. "Do what you believe is right. I'm fine, don't worry about me." Sophia's eyes sparkled with determination. After a moment of contemplation, she smiled and agreed to follow my lead. Sophia informed me that she had been investing heavily in hiring private investigators and top lawyers to gather evidence. It seemed things were progressing quickly. Sure enough, we soon amassed a substantial amount of evidence and discreetly identified dozens of girls who had been mistreated. With Brandon and Robert behind bars, and Sophia offering to buy out contracts, provide resources, and create audition opportunities, several girls agreed to testify in court. Armed with witnesses and undeniable evidence, Sophia took her former agent and supposed friend, Luna, to court. Luna was furious, disregarding the judge's scrutiny as she hurled insults at Sophia. "You're so ungrateful! Who introduced you to this circle and allowed you to enjoy this wealth and fame? Now that you're famous, you're just abandoning me. Is this how you repay someone who helped you?" Sophia appeared upset, but chose to remain silent. This scene reminded me of the past. Luna had indeed helped Sophia in some ways. However, I couldn't stay silent. Her righteous anger was infuriating. I presented the evidence to her with a cold smirk. "Luna, do you want to see what you've done over the years? You've used your fame in the entertainment industry to trap innocent young girls, presenting yourself as an independent woman online to attract these starry-eyed girls. Initially, they trusted you completely, just as Sophia did, but you deceived them into signing unfair contracts, packaging them, and forcing them to provide resources. Do you even feel a shred of guilt for what you've done? You've made a fortune, but look at the damage you've inflicted on these girls." As I finished, I turned to the girls in the courtroom audience. My heart ached with sorrow that I couldn't conceal. It became clear that I wasn't the only victim in this dark industry. In unseen places, they were oppressed and unable to fight back. Right before my eyes, they appeared painfully thin. Their spirits and conditions deteriorated. Even beneath their makeup, their exhaustion was evident. When they looked at Luna, their eyes burned with hatred. The torture they endured was unbearable, something I had experienced myself. While physical wounds can heal, mental scars are much harder to overcome. With irrefutable evidence, Luna finally confessed. To lessen her sentence, she exposed her accomplices and the hidden forces within the entertainment industry behind her schemes. Everyone involved in this dark network was apprehended that day. I believe that while justice may be delayed, it never fails to catch up. Criminals will eventually face punishment. As I left the courtroom, I finally understood the truth. Sophia never sought out Robert and Brandon for resources. Luna had tricked her into signing that dubious contract when she was just starting out. The truth had been revealed to me, and the last person I saw leaving was the plaintiff, Sophia. She walked confidently out of the courtroom into the sunshine, shining brighter than the sun itself. I smiled with relief, opened my arms, and embraced her tightly. "Sister, isn't it time to go home for dinner?" *** Past life sister's story. When the door shut, an unfamiliar fear washed over me like a tornado. I began pounding on the door frantically, but the people inside didn't hear me. The door was specially designed to be completely soundproof. The villa was eerily silent. Realizing I needed help, I desperately searched for a phone, only to find there was no signal. Robert and Brandon had prepared meticulously, installing a jammer in this isolated villa. With no way to call for assistance and my sister in danger, the responsibility weighed heavily on me. My usual calm demeanor vanished. Desperate, I rushed to the kitchen downstairs, grabbed a knife and hammer, and returned to attack the door. I hacked at it with the knife in one hand and pounded the lock with the hammer in the other, but the door wouldn't budge. I hadn't realized how much I had been crying until tears streamed down my face. Time dragged painfully as I finally broke down, sobbing and banging on the door, begging them to spare Emily. "Do what you want with me, I can take it," I pleaded, but the door remained silent and unresponsive. My hands were swollen and bloody from the forceful attempts, yet I didn't stop. Eventually, holding the knife became too much, so I used both hands and all my strength to smash the door with the hammer. It finally opened, and I pulled myself up off the floor, red-eyed and frantic, shouting my sister's name. Emily, a name I had always thought was too common to matter, would never respond. She lay on the floor, her white dress pristine like an angel's, but stained red like blooming flowers. Bright red caught my eyes. I couldn't fathom the pain she had endured. My baby sister who cried at the slightest scratch in the farmland before her death. It should have been me who lost my mind over securing the role in an audition, foolishly falling into Luna's trap, and ultimately losing the most precious treasure I held dear. From the corner of my eye, I saw Robert and Brandon, the perpetrators. They seemed oblivious to Emily's death, believing she had merely fainted from shock. They dared to compare Emily to other girls with tasteless jokes. Hatred flooded my vision, a storm of revenge raging in my heart. In that moment, no one could comprehend how much I wanted to mutilate these men with the knife, to chop them into pieces, to feel their pulse beneath my blade and experience the pain Emily endured 100-fold, but I couldn't bring myself to do it in front of two grown men who were already exhausted from trying to break the door. Fighting back would be foolish and likely result in retaliation, and I couldn't handle both of them alone. Moreover, they weren't the first victims, nor were they the masterminds of this vile industry. Behind it all was a much larger organization orchestrating everything, with my trusted agent Luna acting as the middleman. They used her to traffic naive and innocent girls, each link stained with Emily's blood. I wouldn't let them escape, even if it cost me my life. At that moment, Brandon and Robert finished their conversation and approached shoulder to shoulder. They noticed the unresponsive girl lying there and immediately sensed something was wrong. Checking her breathing, they exchanged a look and panicked. Seeing me standing before the body, they swiftly moved to encircle me from both sides. Robert was the first to threaten. "If you dare talk about what happened here today, I promise I'll do my best to blacklist you in the entertainment industry. Being blacklisted would strip you of all leverage, leaving you powerless." No way. I couldn't let that happen. I buried my hatred deep within my heart, looked up, and put on my best performance, pretending to be both shocked and delighted. "Great! Finally, this scapegoat is gone, Robert. Let me tell you, I was so tired of her. She's my twin sister. Luna had mentioned how much we resembled each other, and how easy it would be for people online to dig up dirt on me and steal my spotlight. Now this troublemaker is finally gone. Robert, Brandon, don't worry. I'm glad to see her gone, and we'll definitely keep this under wraps for you guys," I continued, feigning joy. The two exchanged skeptical glances. To maintain my cover despite the heartbreak, I kept raising the stakes. All I wanted was for Robert and Brandon to help me achieve my goals. I raised an eyebrow and smirked slightly. "From now on, we're in this together. Just make sure you clean up any evidence and handle my identity documents. That way, I'll officially be an only child." Hearing this, Robert and Brandon relaxed, smiling with satisfaction. Brandon sneered, "As long as you know your place and behave, you'll get what you want." And so began my 5-year scheme. With resources provided by Robert and Brandon, I transitioned from being a well-known starlet to a TV actress and eventually a movie star. Fans lauded my talent and acting skills, unaware of the countless nights I spent honing my craft. Every time I faced setbacks or mistreatment and felt like giving up, I'd look in the mirror. The face staring back was just like hers. As I started earning money, I invested heavily in hiring private detectives to gather the necessary evidence. I brainstormed ways to hide tiny cameras in brooches, buttons, and hair accessories. With my sharpened acting skills, Robert, Brandon, and Luna began to trust me more and more. By the 3rd year, they finally included me in their chat group, openly requesting that I introduce women to them for evidence. I sent 2 seemingly naive girls to infiltrate Luna's circle, and one of them risked everything to obtain concrete video proof. By the fourth year, I had become a prominent actress in the domestic film industry. However, compared to director Robert, I still lacked the necessary resources and connections, so I continued to wait for those girls who had been harmed to find the courage to stand with me. Over these few years, I underwent a complete transformation. My cunning and skills reached new heights. Eventually, I managed to befriend Robert's wife, Nancy. Within a few months, it was evident that she despised him and was eager for justice. I convinced her to divorce Robert and join my side. Only then did I discover that she possessed another piece of incriminating evidence against Robert. Nancy and I quickly formed an alliance, delving deeper to expose the entire truth. To ensure that the masterminds and everyone involved were apprehended and couldn't escape, I resolved to bring global attention to the case, not just within our country. I hastily chose a film script that aligned with our mission, regardless of the investment required to make it happen. Finally, after all my efforts, success arrived. Leveraging my acting skills, I took the film international. In the movie, I portrayed a model who, despite enduring horrific abuse, rises above her circumstances and refuses to surrender her integrity. At the opening of an international film festival, as I walked the red carpet amidst reporters bombarding me with questions, I only answered one: "Sorry, I don't have a sister. I'm an only child." Once I answered, no one pursued me further, and I proceeded to the stage to receive my award. With cameras from around the world focused on me, I picked up the microphone and decisively shifted the topic. I'm sorry to inform you all that I'm currently an only child, but I wasn't always. I had a twin sister named Emily. After she passed, I was no longer Sophia, but Emily. I lived for her, awaiting this very day to bring the perpetrators to justice. As my words reverberated through the room, followers of the corrupt forces realized something was wrong and attempted to call security to restrain me. However, a wave of reporters blocked their access. Meanwhile, the film scenes began to play on the big screen behind me. In that moment, the 5-year-old sealed past was unveiled by my hands, raw and devastating. After the story was revealed, the girls who had been harmed found the courage to come forward and testify in court. Nancy fulfilled her part by handing over all the evidence to the authorities. With numerous leads, the evidence was irrefutable. Everyone involved was taken into custody. Brandon and Robert's reputations were ruined, and they tried to flee together before the police could apprehend them. However, the mercenaries I had hired overseas intercepted them. Without hesitation, I had them both brought to the small room where Emily had died. I vowed that from that day forward, they would live in misery. Luna and the mastermind were caught and were likely to spend their lives in prison. On the day justice was served, I discovered that I was suffering from late-stage depression. I turned to the internet to announce my withdrawal from the public eye and returned home with my sister's ashes. That night, heavy rain poured down. In my dreams, I vaguely saw mountains blooming with flowers, but in my eyes, they couldn't compare to her smile amidst the blossoms. I wished that if life gave me another chance, in another life, I would do everything to protect Emily. Then, I opened my eyes and found myself back 5 years ago in the taxi heading to Robert's villa. Realizing what needed to be done, I quickly grabbed my phone, concocted an excuse to lure Luna there, and called a group of paparazzi. "Emily, this time your big sister will do everything to protect you."